Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, with this story is about Ross Greer, and I did allude to it in an earlier video about his enthusiasm, shall we say, for new tax bans and increasing the amount of tax that Scots pay across the board. He seems to think it's a really good idea, but then he's very young, very stupid, and very inexperienced. He has no idea of the real world. Still lives with mummy, and she tells him that he's handsome and manly. And he kind of believes it. But we will look at this because it is absolutely bonkers. But before we do, just want to address the thing. I see again, and we're getting the messages there, YouTube is unsubscribing people randomly, I think. Do please check that you're still subscribed. And absolutely, if you have yet to subscribe, please do so. It massively helps because we are a political channel. We get pushed down the algorithm. But when you subscribe, it lifts us up, and it does a lot more good than sort of normal channels getting a subscription because it's overcoming that push down in the algorithm. So absolutely do please hit the subscribe button, spread the word, and we can keep eyes on things like this and let the truth come out, because this, what you're about to see, would be absolutely destructive to everyone in Scotland. Here goes. So, Ross Greer wants a new tax band every 10,000 as the Greens plot a new raid on Scots' pockets. Now, before we get totally into this, I mean, the man is an absolute lunatic. He's never done a real job in his life. I mean, he is like the ginger twiglet, isn't he? And he's proposing that every time you earn above the next 10,000, you pay a little bit more in tax, a little bit more in tax. Scotland, already the highest taxed part of the country, is about to be taxed to smithereens if he got his way. Already a third of Scots, and predominantly the young, want to leave Scotland, are planning or looking or inquiring about leaving Scotland. And it's plans like this from little Marxists who've never grown up, who still live with mummy, who've never had a real job, are unqualified, who sit there and make up these plans in their little Marxist strange minds, and who think, yeah, we can tax people forever, and forget that they're not in North Korea. They forget that they don't have a hard border that they can corral and keep people in. What? I mean, there's only a word for a man like this. What a wanker. I mean, literally, there is no other description, is there? He's a little tofu-munching milksop who has done nothing with his life. What has he got to show for it? Oh, I made it all the way. I'm a politician. Look at me. Aren't I great? No, you're not. You're an absolute failure in life. Nothing you have done. You have achieved nil. And now you just want to punish people for working hard and succeeding, because they've succeeded and you haven't. And it really, really bothers you that other people are succeeding and you want, oh, we've got to tax them because we've got to make them miserable because somebody somewhere might be happy. Typical Marxist way. They don't like happy and they don't like rich, because happy rich people don't vote for the likes of Ross Greer. In fact, very, very few people do vote for the likes of Ross Greer. He's only in on a list system, which even the maker of the system said was the wrong way. In any sane world, with proper voting, he would never be there, and he would have to sit tugging on his mummy's apron strings, hoping that he could still get some bitty when he gets hungry. Anyway, Ross Greer has hinted at new tax bans for every £10,000 of income in Scotland, as the Scottish Greens plot a new raid on Scottish pockets. The party enthusiastically backed Shona Robinson's budget at the first stage on Thursday. That story coming next. That's with the... See, I don't just throw this together, you know. We have these things in the correct order. We see the stories and go, you know. It's almost as though I know what I'm doing, which is one up on the SNP. Anyway, this was in the introduction of this new tax ban that Shona Robinson thought was very, very clever, but which will actually see a cut in the amount of tax taken in Scotland. But Mr. Greer doesn't think that that goes far enough, because, hey, we don't want people to have money, don't want money in a Marxist state. You know, you work and you belong to the state, and we will give you everything that we think you need. The West Scotland MSP, seen as an influential voice in the party and a prick by most people, said some European countries have new tax bans every £10,000. Yeah, but those countries aren't succeeding, are they? While Mr. Greer is not a member of the government, thank heavens, The Greens hold huge sway over the SNP. In fact, they have too much sway over the SNP. And if the SNP had a leader who had balls instead of the Ken doll of politics that they do have, the SNP would ditch the Greens and go, hey, hasn't life just got suddenly better for everyone? Anyway, under Miss Robertson's spending plans, which have been widely criticised by everyone who understands how tax works, 45 pence tax rate on earnings between 75,000 and 125,000 would be implemented, the sixth tax band in Scotland. Because if you can't make it complicated and you can't screw every single penny you can get, you know you're in trouble. Well, you are anyway. People are already changing. I know people, I've said this in the previous video, I know people who are thinking of moving down to England because of the tax. And I don't think they'll be alone. There'll be a lot of them. These are good, well-paid people, you know. Anyway, speaking to the Daily Record, Mr. Greer said there are more options for income tax than simply taking the bands we've got at the moment and increasing the rates, he said. Having the current system of a single higher rate from 43 to 125,000 was clearly a bit daft. Now, what's a bit daft is having Ross Greer in Parliament making decisions and voting on things and opening his big stupid gob. The man hasn't got a clue. What's he ever done? Seriously, answers on a postcard. Because as far as I know, he's never had a real job. He's unqualified. He sits there pretending to be virtuous, and yet every decision and every view he has damages people, the environment, the economy, growth, the future. Nothing he does is in any way good. But because he's so stupid, he thinks it is. Wow. I mean, really, wow. Anyway, he's going on. He said, we won the argument to split this at 75,000. He said there are other European countries whose income tax bans are every 10 grand. And do you know what happens in those countries? People leave or they dish their money out. The best one, the example of that, and I've said it before, Norway. They brought in this massive tax ban for billionaires. And what happened? Within 72 hours, every single billionaire, and I mean every single billionaire, had left Norway. They'd all gone. Because, hey, these people are rich. And you know what they can do? They can walk away. And when they walk away, they don't leave their money behind. And all of a sudden, Norway, virtually overnight, its tax take crashed. It plummeted. They realised that they'd made this massive mistake. They reversed it within about a year. But only a couple of the billionaires came back. They've gone forever. You know, screw with them and they just go. But you don't have to be a billionaire. You only have to be earning 100,000 a year. It's enough to drive you away. And who are the 100,000 a year people? It's your heads of schools. It's your senior managers. It's your doctors. These are the people you need. Engineers and things like that. These are the people you need. And they walk away because you're overtaxing them. They ain't coming back. But Greer won't understand that. You know, old retard boy. He hasn't got a clue, has he? Anyway, Greer also said the Greens would categorically not be supporting Humza Yousaf's council tax freeze, despite voting in favour of Miss Robertson's budget at stage 1 in Holyrood on Thursday. And he told Parliament he had issues with the council tax freeze. Well, that's okay. We've got issues with you, dim boy. He said afterwards, we shouldn't have a system that allows the Scottish Government to make decisions like that on behalf of local government. And despite that, all 7 members of the Green Group backed the budget. Because of course they did. But there he is, you know, the most manly man that Scotland has ever produced. He's like that fella on the front of the old porridge oats, isn't he? Oh, no, he's not. He's like that man on the front of the porridge oats, Sporran. That's what he is. And that's all he is, really, isn't he? He's Harvey Sporran. There we go. Patrick Harvey Sporran. Ah, yeah, coming up, which is often what Patrick Harvey says. You bring a tax band every 10,000 and what happens? Oh, I've got a promotion. Best move out of Scotland then. And anyone who lives south, south of, say, Glasgow and the Edinburgh, south of that corridor and that, they're in that position where they're going to start be paying tax at, increasing rates every 10,000. For them, it's quite easy just to nip south of the border and go live, in England. Go down Hexham Way, something like that. Sure. And then there's those that can actually run businesses. There's all sorts of ways around it. And so all this blather that this guy's on about, he hasn't got a clue. He literally hasn't got a clue because he's too stupid. I wonder how he operates. How do you go through life being as stupid as these people? It is a mystery to me. Oh well, never mind. Thankfully, it'll never happen. Thankfully, these things are just pipe dreams, because nobody is ever going to listen to such an ineffective little milksop as Greer. Anyway, I'll finish there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I will speak to you later. Bye.